On today's episode of Homeworthy, we're taking you to Washington, D.C. to see how Susanna Quinn decorates her beautiful home for the holidays. Susanna is a mother, wife, entrepreneur, and cancer survivor, and it was during some of her darkest moments of fighting cancer that Heather Ginger Cooper came into her life. Heather, a master artist, has designed tablescapes and floral decor for hundreds of events at the White House for more than 20 years. And she decorated Susanna's home for Christmas when Susanna was sick and couldn't do it herself. Years later, they remain good friends, and Heather is still decorating Susanna's home.
Hello, Homeworthy. I'm Susanna Quinn. Welcome to my Washington, D.C. home. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Be sure to visit our website, homeworthy.com, to discover amazing furniture, art, accessories, and more, all handpicked by our editors to help transform your house into a home. All of the items are inspired by the episodes you see here on Homeworthy. Enjoy!
I'm Susanna Quinn, and I fancy myself a floral designer, an interior decorator, a fashion advisor, but in reality, I am a businesswoman and an entrepreneur. I worked on the Hill for several years, and then I built a real estate practice as a single mother to support my daughter, and then I started a company, Velux, on-demand fitness, beauty, and wellness, which I sold in 2018, and I am now, as you can see, my passion is architecture and design. I'm now back in real estate at Tutilla Rink and Sotheby's. My childhood was chaotic. Christmas involved going to, mother's house, father's house, mother's grandmother, cousin's house. I never felt centered enough to sort of enjoy the love of family, friends, and the holiday spirit. So I always vowed when I had my own home, I would create these traditions for my children. My husband and I have both faced really challenging illnesses in the past 5 years, and if it's done one thing for us, it's given us the perspective that really life is about family. Life is about celebration and joy and being around your family. And so Christmas is absolutely my favorite time of year. My husband's kids come, his grandchildren come, his former wife comes, some of my best friends that got me through the darkest days come. And for me, that's what life is about. So Christmas is truly my favorite holiday. So we're going to start in the foyer. When you come in the front door, the first thing that people see is the Rigo candle burning, which Jackie Kennedy used to burn in the White House and my mom adored. And so particularly around the holidays, the scent is cypress. I like to have it at the front door. And you have these two tinsel trees, which I think there was a time when I might have thought tinsel was tacky, but I absolutely love the silver with the blue that brings out the color in the art, and I'll talk about use of color in Christmas decorations later. What I would say about the nutcrackers is it seems tasteful. There's 2 of them, but we get nutcrackers as gifts every Christmas. We have an abundance of them, so they're just spread selectively through the house to sort of give the Christmas spirit in every room. So I always did my banister in a pine garland with red bows, very traditional, and Heather did this amazing gold balls and blue ribbons. And I remember it took a little bit of getting used to. I thought that's a little Housewives of Beverly Hills. I'm a little bit more It's a Wonderful Life, a little traditional. And now I love bringing new colors into the Christmas decorations. Moving into the living room, I've always said that my design ethos is somewhat captive by history because I have so many family photos and family pieces that I really like to highlight. I generally do neutral colors on the upholstery and on the walls because the art and the photos and the books really bring the color out, which is another reason why I love Christmas, because I get to add even more color. So this table is an interesting story. My grandmother was very good friends with Edward Durrell Stone, and he did the informal drawings for her home in Massachusetts Avenue Heights, and she had a huge huge Chinese garden kitchen. And so he designed this table for it, and the wood is in the pattern. It's the Marie Antoinette pattern, which they used to use in palaces years and years ago. And I just had it refinished. In fact, when it was hers, she had pillows around it so that people could just sit during parties, and it added additional space to socialize and sit and have your cocktail. So there was watermarks and whatnot on the table. So the table isn't too overdone this year. We have our gold nutcracker, and I think you always have to have some red poinsettias at Christmas. They were all over my grandmother's house, and it really reminds me of, you know, all of the childhood memories growing up. These are actually wood roses, which I got at Trader Joe's, and I put a little bit of oasis in here, and so this is just sort of a nice touch. Sometimes it's on the bookshelf, sometimes I put it on the dining room table, but you know, they're sort of forever roses, which I love. I actually just hosted a book party for Brian Sawyer and John Burson. This is a beautiful book. They're quite well-known architects in New York and the Hamptons. And oh, I love Miles Red. Miles Red is all about color, the big book of color. I love all the cocktail books. It's like asking me to pick a favorite child. Well, there's always a lot of drama surrounding this table and a certain amount of shenanigans on my part because I have my family and friends photos, so I have to move them around. You know, if the grandchildren are coming to visit, they've got to go in the front. You know, if I'm having a party with some of my friends, they might come to the front. And then when people come, they of course always bring their pictures to the front, so it's sort of like a rotating photo album on my table. This picture was taken right before my son was born, and Tony Powell is the photographer, and he posted it on Facebook, and then it was grabbed, screen grabbed, and put on Politico or the Washington Post, I can't remember, and I had done the photos as a surprise for my husband, but suddenly he started getting emails from everybody, and I remember his business partner saying, I just talked to Jack, I asked him how he was, and he said, fine, but Susanna's naked on the internet. I wasn't consulted. So there was a bit of drama around that picture, but I think we should all be proud of our pregnant bodies. I've always had a phobia of fake flowers, not a fan, but these are dried roses, which I put with some oasis in a mint julep cup. It adds a pop of color, and they look fresh, and sometimes I need to pull them over to the dining room table if we're having company and I haven't gotten flowers. So this is a photo of my dad. He was in the Navy. I love having pictures of my family and friends, especially my late parents and grandparents, around the house. And it leads us to the ancestral shelf, which is a shelf with my mother and me as a child, my husband's parents, my grandmother, my dad as a baby, and then various baby cups. We've got mine, we've got my sister's. I've always been amused, I think it was with my late sister's belongings. I somehow have my mother's husband's first wife's baby cup, so I plopped that up there on the ancestral shelf as well. And then I keep one of our Christmas ornaments around here all year because it's so fragile. It says baby. I was born December 28th, and my sisters had no idea whether I was going to be a boy or a girl or what my name was, but we always made ornaments. They made me this baby ornament, so I don't ever want anything to happen to it. So that's another tradition which I've now done with my children, and we can see the ornaments later. We make homemade ornaments every Christmas. I always wanted to have an incredibly festive Christmas, and I would get a tree and I would do wreaths with red bows, but it was very sparse and it was very traditional. And in 2019, when I just couldn't do my own decorations, and Heather Ginger Cooper came into my life, and she's bringing tree and another tree and another tree, giving me the opportunity to really learn to use the color to draw out the art, something that I wouldn't have done. And so every year we do a room in a different color with different balls, and it's exciting and it's fun. It's not just the same thing over and over and over again, which is a lot of fun. And on my tree we have some of my favorite ornaments. In fact, this is a new one. I had this made for my friends this year for the wobbles. In 2019, I was diagnosed with a very advanced ovarian cancer and told that I would probably be in hospice within a year or two. And I'm here today, cancer-free, making this video because of the love of my family and my friends, particularly the wobbles that got me through that journey. If you Google my name, Susanna Quinn, and wobbles, you can read about how they really helped me overcome an almost insurmountable cancer. And I'm here today to celebrate with my family and friends. So in Christmas of 2019, I was 7 months into my cancer journey. I was emaciated, bald, pretty much in a wheelchair. And Yet it was so important to me. My children had been through so much. I'd had so many surgeries. I'd been hospitalized, and there was a lot more to come, that I wanted them to have a really wonderful Christmas. But I was too weak to decorate. So my friend Ricky Nicetta, who was at the time White House Social Secretary, sent Heather Ginger Cooper to me. And that is how I came to have the most extra, decked, amazing, beautiful Christmas tree ever. And here she is.
Hello. Oh my gosh, it's so good to see you.
It's so good to see you. I wanted everybody to meet Heather.
Hey, hello. Buy the big tree and it's still standing.
I know.
It's a miracle.
We've had some adventures. So our relationship started out as a charity project. She was coming to help me, and we've now been together 5 years through many adventures. She is truly amazing. In fact, Heather, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about your background?
Absolutely. You know, Susanna, I never thought this would happen. I was a business major with a physics minor, and I always had art in my background. My father said, you need to get the degree. Well, I came to Washington, D.C. and started doing a few projects. I started with the Scottish Christmas Walk in Alexandria, became the chairman of that, and that led me to this wonderful opportunity at the White House from several people that I knew. So I started with the Bush family, and they were wonderful to me in the East Wing doing events. And I was lucky to be hired by the Obamas to be in the executive residence. And from there, I was able to take, you use physics and math every day, I always say that, take all of my knowledge together, start working with my art all over again, and decorate the White House, do parties, do all of those things. And now I'm at the President's Guest House at Blair House doing the same thing.
Which is so beautiful.
Thank you. And it's been, what, 22 years now, going on 22 years of being able to decorate for 4 first families. So very,
oh my gosh. Well, really it's such an honor to have you help us here, and I'm so glad that you stuck with me.
Thank you. You know, honestly, no matter how much I talk about first families, what's more important is the people that you know and you love, and the people that are by your side through it all. And you've been through a lot, and honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way, and I'm just so glad that our paths crossed. Aww. I really am. No, yes, I love you.
All right, let's talk about the tree falling.
Okay.
Because we've been through it together.
The one thing I love about Susanna is despite all this, she was healing from all that you went through that year. And as we progressed, we began to change the look of the tree. So it started out lovely. It's always been lovely. And she has so many different trees in her house. But it started out as a real tree. And I do love real trees. I've always told you, I love a real tree, but real trees bring challenges. And we had to keep, every time she would come home with a tree, we were trying to formulate it new every year to fit this space. Well, one year the tree had not fully opened. It was still in its netting at the last minute. And so, you know, I told you the story, regular trees that come out of the ground, when they're compressed, they slowly open, and that thing pushed itself against the wall. And we had just finished, we were exhausted the entire day, 6 hours of working. I mean, everything in the house.
So beautiful.
It was just stunning. And I was just leaving. I was walking out to the car.
And I went back to take a photo, and as I was taking a photo, it fell forward. We have a photo.
Crashed.
Everything smashed.
Everything. It was on the ground. And I was leaving the next, as a matter of fact, I was going to President Bush's Christmas party in Dallas that morning. And I was like, I was so upset, and I don't normally lose it. And I almost started crying. And here's Susanna. You were having a party the next day. So there's no way we could just leave it like that. So Jocelyn got up on a ladder, and yourself. And the thing I loved about it is you were laughing. You were not yelling. I thought you would be mad, but you weren't. And
how can you be mad? I mean, first of all, with everything going on in the world, how can you be mad about a falling Christmas tree? I'm so grateful to have a tree.
You really relaxed me, because I was very stressed when that happened. We ended up using speaker wire to put a guy wire through the wall to hold it back up again. Jocelyn, Susanna, and I put it back together, and it was wonderful. And party went on.
And now I only use fake trees through the whole house. You really started this, because every year she shows up with a new tree. Oh, I think you should have a tree in the loggia. Oh, I think you should have a tree in the kitchen. And, you know, they hold ornaments better. You know, and at the end of, we put the tree up so early that at the end of December, my trees are always like, I'm thirsty. And it's just so much better. And of course, the sustainability.
Sustainability, a lot of people would argue, yes, there's plastic involved in an artificial tree. However, you're not cutting down a live tree every year and throwing it out into the garbage and wasting that. You usually can keep an artificial tree for many, many years. I mean, I have some that are 20 years old. So you're not rebuying it. You are technically repurposing it every year. Yes, it holds everything up better. It doesn't push itself away from the wall.
And it's pre-lit, and you can change the lights to colored. I'm not a colored lights person. But after Christmas, we always turn the colored lights on for New Year's.
Disco party.
Right.
I was fortunate enough when I started to work in design to have I have a background in business, and I have a minor in physics. And I always have said that my math has gotten me through everything, and that was my father who really wanted me to have my math. I was supposed to go to Harvard and we weren't able to afford it. I got accepted all the way down to them coming to the house to interview me for the final, what dorm I was going to live in, and it suddenly occurred to me that I wasn't going to be able to go to Harvard based on expense. But through all of that and all of the things that I've been through, I ended up in Washington, D.C., and I ended up with a wonderful special neighbor that allowed me and afforded me the opportunity to become a volunteer at the White House. I started out in the East Wing as a volunteer doing data entry and all sorts of other things. When someone had an emergency and they needed like 20 name cards written down, and I'm a calligrapher also, I do calligraphy. I wrote out the names, and that was the beginning of the end of my art career taking off. Matthew Wendell at the White House East Wing, he said, well, wow, you can do that. Let's do some other things. So I did a lot of artwork for the Bush family. I did some artwork for the Easter egg roll, and for the Bush's final year, I did this beautiful acrylic painting of Barney and Miss Beasley, their dogs, on the White House South Lawn. Well, after that, when they were leaving, Mrs. Bush actually came down to our office, and Mrs. Obama was coming around for a tour, and it was suggested to them that I was not a political affiliate, and perhaps I would be an asset to the executive residence where there is a design shop. The Obamas ended up hiring me in the executive residence, where for 8 wonderful years I decorated for state dinners. I designed 2 Halloweens myself. I was the official, this is one of my crazy titles in the world, official White House face painter. Everyone always laughs at that. I also helped design holidays, and I created all 13 editions of Bo and Sunny, the dogs that were President Obama and Mrs. Obama's, in various mediums, and they're all over the world globally in all sorts of publications. So Bo and Sunny, all in marshmallows, Bo and Sunny in licorice, Bo and Sunny in yarn, Bo and Sunny, a lot of recyclable stuff in trash bags, over 6,000 feet of trash bags I knitted together to make Bo and Sunny. From there, when the Trumps came in, it was offered to me to become, instead of an associate designer, to become lead designer at the President's Guest House. And I was ready for that. It's actually a larger house. The Blair House is larger than the White House in square feet. No one ever knows that, but it's true. It's 75 versus 55,000 square feet. But we do all sorts of wonderful events for all of the heads of state that come. So over time, my work has progressed from this wonderful small volunteer position into meeting so many wonderful people in 4 administrations, 4 first families, and I'm still able to work for many of the friends today. So it's wonderful.
One last thing I'd like to talk about is the tree skirt, because it is in fact a tablecloth. I have such a hard time getting tablecloths that are elegant and yet affordable. So I go to the wholesale fabric place near Dulles, Oat, and I buy fabric and I buy discount trim, and I make all of my own tablecloths. So it's doubling as a tree skirt this year. So in my past days, I would have a pined garland here that would just shed everywhere. I couldn't put lights on it, or the trees for that matter, because my husband was afraid we were all going to die in a Christmas tree bed fire. So Heather brought a faux garland that she puts
Real magnolia
in. Which sometimes, you know, after a few weeks, we replace the magnolia, but it just looks fantastic. And who would know that it's not all real?
It's a full build out, this garland. So it starts with an artificial underbase, which has wire in it, which allows all of the ornaments to be suspended. And then there's all real magnolia on top. After that, I place individual silk flowers and all of the balls. And then we tuck a more real magnolia in again, which, yeah, magnolia can dry out, so that's when you replace it. But it really gives this full effect. So it is a custom build out from her mantle, which requires commando.
Yes, we're always out of commando hooks. So command hooks. Commando. We need commandos to come put
because
the
that was
command
another
hooks.
one of the casualties. We didn't realize the tree had somehow compromised the corner of this.
Oh,
so
this
overnight,
also fell that year, but that's another story.
Yes, another whole story. So many things have happened over the course of decorating, and you learn from all of the crazy things that happen. I've had disasters, things where we've had to pick up, and it sort of has afforded me the ability to learn really quickly how to solve a problem, troubleshoot, and get things rolling again. For instance, one time at the White House, we've had trees fall as well. But the craziest thing that happened to us, and thank the Lord I was not the one that had put it up there, but we had created this handmade garland over the Lincoln portrait. And if you know how beautiful that Lincoln portrait is, right there in the state dining room, that mantle, that huge garland was hanging over it, and it probably weighed a solid 200 pounds, I would say. In the middle of one of our parties, people are walking around happily sipping champagne. It crashes to the floor. It narrowly missed the painting entirely, skidded off the edge of the mantle, which is stone, and was unscathed. But thank goodness that one person was there. That has been one of many. We've had pumpkins rot during Halloween that we've had to quickly get out. We've had episodes, even at Blair House, I had to come up with an entire new plan for Blair House mantles because they're all on an angle. Over time in that house, a lot of them have settled into angles. So the mantles kept sliding, the garlands kept sliding off the mantles. So I had to come up with a plan. And mind you, to keep things up in a private home is not too hard. You can use command hooks, you can use tape, you can have a few tiny finishing nails in places that aren't noticeable, but you cannot hammer, tape, or glue into historic homes, especially not the White House and the Blair House. So here I have the curators watching my every move, and I have to come up with a plan on how to keep these on because we can't have things sliding off the mantles all the time. But yeah, disasters are part of it, but it allows you to learn. It allows you to learn and figure out a new way. And so when this happened, instantly I was thinking of, we need a guy wire. We're going to have to go into your molding, Susanna. I'm sorry. And I'm a big fan of something crazy, and it's called speaker wire. Speaker wire to me is soft, rubber around the edge, inside really great and strong. It holds things good. You can wrap it and tie it good, and things don't fall over as easily. So those are a few of my disasters.
One of the things I love about Heather is every year she brings in new trees, new ornaments, new trinkets, new flower designs. And I really think everybody would like to hear a little bit about where you source these things and how you get the ideas.
You know what? That's a really good question. And your house lends itself to being able to have a large gamut of items. But I'm a firm believer in sourcing from many, many ways. I actually call my car the bag of tricks because a lot of people will donate things to me that I repurpose. I shop at some of the same stores that everyone else shops at, all of the name brands, and I do have some floral distributors. There's some great places out in San Francisco and in Los Angeles that I get items at, but honestly, I can get my things online. Good old Amazon allows me to reach out to many, many vendors now that wasn't possible years and years ago. So all over the place. I also source from backyards. I have friends with magnolia trees. I have friends with boxwood. I have a small studio out on the Eastern Shore, and I go there all the time to pick and pull and spray paint things gold and just things. I see things all the time.
That's right. Last year, didn't you spray paint all my ribbons outside? What was it?
It was the baubles down the staircase.
The baubles down the staircase.
They were rose gold, and we really wanted more of a gold feel to them.
Right.
So we just.
So I went to the hardware store, got gold paint, and she repainted all of the balls on the garland on the outside.
And it looked perfect.
Yeah,
in fact, how many times have you had to go to the hardware store for me? Lights out.
Oh my gosh.
Again, the command hooks, other kind of hooks. So many different things.
I'm an Ace Hardware super member.
Yes. I try to bring everything in the car, but inevitably something will come up, especially at this house. So
I think everybody's under the illusion that putting together this kind of Christmas is exorbitantly expensive, but we do so much DIY. And Heather, why don't you talk to them a little bit about some of the resources that we use?
Absolutely. So we have gotten most all of these trees are not trees from super expensive places. In fact, when we first set your tree up, I know it always looks a little bit sparse, and you think, how is it going to look like this when it starts out sort of peg-leggy and not big? Well, once again, finding all sorts of things in the woods, spray painting them gold, buying at Walmart. Believe it or not, Walmart
also
and
after
Target
Christmas.
I bought
this tree after the tree fell. I bought this tree after Christmas, half price, king of Christmas.
Yep, half price there.
Yeah.
Walmart, Target, a lot of those places have sales, but you don't even have to get things on sale. This is a beautiful ball that might not be able to be found somewhere, but you can easily texturize a lot of big plastic shatterproof balls. I'm a big fan of shatterproof, especially with children, grandchildren in the house. You don't have the glass everywhere. Pets tend to, knock things off. Texturized with glitter, literally hot glue gun, tiny baby seed pearls. There you have it, beautiful thing. And that can be done for pennies compared to if you were to spend big money. Again, you can buy hydrangea yourself. This is silk, but you could buy pink silk hydrangea on sale that no one's buying, spray painted gold, and there you go.
Love it. She's my Christmas fairy.
But when she laughed when my tree fell, and I thought she was going to yell. You don't have to put that. But I was so worried. And
you can't yell at a fairy. She's a Christmas fairy, sparkling holiday dust everywhere.
There are so many little things, though, that you have allowed me to place. And I know I've not always guessed right with you. There have been times when I know you haven't liked things, but unless I try, I've thought that my whole life. I always try to get everyone right. I try to read them right, see what's important.
Well, this year you didn't bring the pink, and I wanted the pink. So I went out and got pink because I wanted a Barbie office.
And I have it. I had that exact thing at my house, and I second guessed you.
I
thought, oh, it's going to be too bright and obnoxious.
No,
She's not going to like it. And you loved it.
No, we'll go see that later.
Yeah, that was so good.
So I spoke about multiple trees. The dining room tree is one of the kids' trees. So you can see we have my son's homemade ornament, and we have the Justin Bieber ornament, and then actually putting ornaments up in our house is like a 3 or 4 day celebration with spiced cider and the Michael Bublé holiday station. So we still have homemade ornaments to put up, and also we haven't had our homemade ornament making of 2023 day. So the tree will really be decked with just a lot of kid stuff, my son's school and photos, a baby ornament from my daughter. I love this tree, and I do it in blue and green to match the art in the room. So when I was growing up, my parents were divorced, and the holidays often became just very obligatory, even from a young age, you know, going to this person's house, the mom's house, the dad's house, the mom's house, the cousin's house on this side. But Christmas Eve, my grandmother always had a very formal black tie dinner, which until she died when I was in my 20s, everybody went. We put aside divorce, we put aside rancor, we put aside politics, we put aside everything. And we had a formal dinner on Christmas Eve. In fact, I have some of my outfits. I was always in a gown. And here I am in my very fashion-forward bell-bottom velvet jumpsuit holding court with the little kids, probably telling them that there was no Santa Claus, God knows. So we have the table set, and the most special thing on this table for me are these Bulgarian glasses, which were my grandmother's. My grandfather was in politics from 1938 into 1968, so she traveled all over the world. She had amazing experiences, and she brought these back from Bulgaria, and she would make a Christmas dessert every Christmas Eve, which was, you know, I'd be a terrible baker, I'm not good at measurements, which was a lot of Haagen-Dazs ice cream with a half a cup of bourbon and a half a cup of whiskey and a little bit of nutmeg sprinkled on top. So let me tell you something, everybody left that dinner happy. In fact, Christmas Eve is taken on a special formal meeting because I have a step-grandson who's celebrating his 2nd birthday this Christmas. So we've started doing his birthday dinner on Christmas Eve. So the silver comes from my grandmother, my mother, my late sister. It's all mismatched. It's very waspy. The hair in china I really wanted in green, and so my husband bought that for me for my birthday a couple of years ago. Heather did the centerpiece, and it's got oasis, and it's just flowers inside of oasis. So as the holiday goes through, I can just replace the flowers, and it lasts all season. In fact, I've done quite a few flowers with oasis using, as I showed you before, even dried flowers. These are wood dried flowers from Trader Joe's. They don't have them every day, but they have them occasionally. And this is from Mrs. Alice. It looks like a silver heirloom, but it's not. It's from the website Mrs. Alice. And I just did this, and I think it just looks lovely here. The dining room table I inherited from my grandmother. My grandfather was in politics for 30 years, so many luminaries dined at the table, including 4 presidents. And when I inherited it at age 24, she said to me, now, when you have a dinner party, make sure to always have a Democratic senator, a Republican congressman, a Supreme Court justice, and a media person. Well, most of the parties I have are for women, women in politics and women in media, but some of the best women are in the Senate, the House, the Supreme Court, and in the media. So I would say I've had many parties that would make her proud. I want to talk about this piece of art for a minute because I had a guest in our home who loved this piece, which is by Gian Garofalo. And he said to me, oh, is this by Gian Garofalo? And I said, no, it's by an art student, Theo Pinto. And in fact, he sent me an original painting that was yellow and orange. It was for our kitchen, and it was shattered. I won't tell you which mail delivery service, but it was absolutely shattered. And so we had to go through all these, hoops in order to get him refunded. And he painted me this new photo. His name is Theo Pinto. And I'm so proud to have met him when he was in art school, because he's now a big deal. Look him up. So I inherited beautiful monogrammed napkins from my grandmother. My mother used to say, if it's not moving, monogram it. And so I actually did my own a few years ago in green, for Irish green, and on Etsy, by the way. And I'm actually giving them as gifts now to some of the younger women in our family who are building their own homes or starting their own first homes, because I think it's just such a way to sort of add a formality and a festivity to the dinner table, sort of a little tradition, pulling out the napkins, and then you've got to iron them the next day. So moving into the kitchen and eat-in area, this is one of the areas in which Heather really sort of changed my Christmas design ethos, because it was all about red and green. And she brought me this tree one year, and I thought, okay, we can have a kitchen tree. We can put like kitchen-y things on it. And she did it in pink and orange to bring out the color in that painting. And I just celebrated my wedding anniversary with my husband, so he bought me this painting over here as a wedding gift, which I love. It's unusual, the circle. We got it at Addison Ripley Gallery, and so it kind of brings in the green and the blue, and we really just try and do a colorful kitchen to bring out the colors in the art. Right over here, it's all a work in progress. It goes on for days. This vase is from the website Miss Alice, and I bought Oasis, and so I'm going to just wet it, shape it, and stick the roses in, and I can just redo it several times and put it on the table, because I think we need a little bit of greenery on the Christmas table. So the Christmas table evolves into something different every year. This is just sort of some Christmas ornaments that my son liked and put together, and I brought these colorful cones up, and it's just nice to have something around the table where we eat dinner every night. As I said, it's a work in progress. We still have at least 2 or 3 nights of apple cider and Michael Bublé Christmas music. I still have to put the stockings up. This is the family room, and we do the stockings in here. We open our stockings in here on Christmas morning, and then we go into the living room and kind of do all of the Christmas opening. But I have not put the stockings up because I have so many. I have my stepson's fiance, I've got grandchildren, I've got mine, I have my husband's former wife, who we celebrate all vacations and holidays with, my sister wife, I don't know what I would do without her, my nanny, and so I've got to get the command hooks and sort of do these in the next night or two to really get this room festive for Christmas. So when Heather put the leopard up, I thought, I don't know, this is getting a little bit too much Housewives of Beverly Hills, but I got used to it. I love it. I think it's fabulous. And it goes with the sock monkeys. I have sock monkeys for each one of the children. And then we hang the stockings. And I just think this is beautiful, the way that it plays off the colors in the art. It's so cozy to just have a fireplace going and sit and have coffee on Sunday and read the paper. We read the paper like traditional newspaper. I will take every opportunity of every corner and every table to celebrate my books and photos. So this is actually an old desk of my husband's from his old office. It's beautiful, but it's just very contemporary. And so I had it skirted with this quadrille fabric, and I just have, my mother, my husband and I when we were first dating, my kids, my friends, my mom's baby picture. And it's just lovely to sort of have this respite on the way to the office where I can just reflect on some of my loved ones. So occasionally I have those mother-daughter fights. I know they're uncommon with other mothers and daughters, but on our trip to Santa Fe, we got this, and it says, out beyond the ideas of right and wrong, there is a field, and I will meet you there. Because she always thinks I'm wrong, and I always think I'm right. So that's a special little piece of art. As you can see, there's books on every table, books on every surface. I love my books. This is actually one of my favorite books to give as a Christmas gift. It's called Lend Me Your Ears by William Safire. And it's the greatest speeches in history. It starts with the Sermon on the Mount. You have the Gettysburg Address. You have Adlai Stevenson's concession speech, all the way to Mikhail Gorbachev accepting his fault. It's a beautiful lesson in history. And, sometimes I keep it in the car if I'm waiting for people or doctor's appointments or whatever. I think this is a great holiday tip. There's a lot of holiday lunches, and a lot of holiday events, and you're busy entertaining and decorating, finishing up homework with your kids before exams. And so I usually put together a rack kind of at the beginning of the month with holiday looks of things that I'm going to wear to lunches or parties or work through the holidays. And it's really helpful because then at the last minute, I'm not like, oh my God, I'm going to wear the same black turtleneck and pants again. This Del Pizzo is one of my favorites. I think I've had it for 10 years, and it's great with like a black pencil skirt or black pants for holiday lunch, cocktail party, love with tone-on-tone green clutch. And then last night I actually wore this Alexander McQueen gown to the Kennedy Center Honors. Bright red. I don't usually do red, so I rocked a red lipstick, which was really unusual for me. So here we are coming into second favorite room in the house. Jim is the first favorite. This is my office. And this year I decided, I got some new art pieces in Santa Fe, and I decided to highlight the pink in it as a tribute to Barbie. So we have a pink mantle, and I still need to add some magnolia garland into it, but this is really a place where a lot of things happen. My son does his homework in here at night. I still have to address a bunch of our Christmas cards. So that's the card. I'll post the whole thing on my Instagram, Susanna Quinn DC, if you want to follow me. And you know, just having the double ceilings and looking out on the woods. I spend a lot of time in here, so we always decorate this room for Christmas. You know, my husband started a shelf of classics right here that are for my son to read in his lifetime, so I love this shelf. Oh my gosh, Catch-22, The Catcher in the Rye, Killer Angels, Of Mice and Men, To Kill a Mockingbird, 1984, David Halberstam, The Old Man and the Sea, and then I actually added a little bit of C.S. Lewis on. This is just a PSA to parents. My friend Stephanie said to me last night, oh, I picked up this Christmas advent calendar for your son. Do you want to take it? And I said, excellent, I don't have one, that's great. Gave it to Storm in the kitchen, got focused, and he was like, Mommy, can I open it? And I said, yeah, go ahead, open it. So he opens it, he comes in, and I said, well, how is it? And he said, well, first of all, it said, Merry Christmas, you filthy animal. And second of all, I think I'm drunk because there was bourbon in the candy. So like, buyer beware. Make sure your advent calendars don't have liquor in them if they're for your kids. I love pink. I've always been a big believer in pink and drawing it in wherever I can. And with the pink and the art, do you see the Stephanie Shanks over there? That art has got pink and blue in it. I really thought it would be fun to do the office in pink this year. And then of course the Barbie movie came out. So why not? I do need to add some magnolia leaves in here, which I'm going to do later. Another great design tip is I just fill bowls with Christmas balls, holiday balls everywhere, because it just adds a little bit of unexpected festivity in unexpected places everywhere. So this is the jungle playroom. It's my son's room. So it's actually the jungle Fortnite Roblox room. And Heather brought this tree, I think a year or two ago, which was the jungle tree. So my son likes putting some of his favorite ornaments, like a pickle. He loves pickles, dinosaur, and then he put this Elvis nutcracker there, which I love. When I was very little, my parents took my sister and I to Maine for the summer, and they let us each pick out a painting in a gallery in Kennebunkport. I still have the painting. I treasure it. It's above my desk. So when I was in the Southwest with my children this summer, I said to them, within reason, pick out a painting that you would like to have. And this is the one that my son picked out. It's Happy Paintings by Tatiana. And I thought, wow, it's kind of bright and it's not really typical what we have in the house, but it's perfect there. I love it. He picked it. He'll have it forever. And it's across from his safari lion picture, which he picked. My decorator, who I've worked with forever, Lavinia Lemon, tells me that I don't have to have leopard in every room. But my grandmother had this chaise longue in her club room in the basement that was leopard, and I've been obsessed ever since. So any excuse to use leopard, I said to my son, do you want a jungle room? And put leopard wallpaper up. And he loves it. And I think it's timeless. I think he'll still be down here when he's 17, 18, doing God knows what, not really bothered by the leopard wallpaper. Now we're going to go into the gym, and if I tell you any room in the house is my favorite, and I'm not talking about the gym, I'm lying. And right here we have my Peloton. Of course, I'll tell you, my family and friends got me through cancer, but really Peloton, after losing 30% of my body weight 3 times, is what helped me build my strength back. So of course, I try and spend an hour in here, which is almost non-negotiable, whether it's 6 in the morning or midnight. So we have to have a tree in here. And it's the fitness and beauty tree. So we've got the ski goggles, ski boots, golf cart, wizards, Peloton ornament. I have like 5 of these. My friends keep giving them to me. Tennis racket. And then we have a lipstick and a blow dryer because nobody else wanted that on their tree. So it just ended up in the gym tree. But I do love this room. And I need to get a Cody, Jen, Leanne, and Bradley ornament for this tree. And then maybe they'll finally give me a shout out. So this is our outdoor loggia, and we have heat lamps, so it's a very popular place for my daughter and her friends to hang out late Christmas night. So we have a little bit of a Christmas design here. I usually have a tree in here, but I moved it up to the top floor because I wanted to do a baby picture family tree, and I wanted it in the house, so we'll go up there next. And because this is sort of the, you know, my daughter's like disco after hour space, I allowed colored lights. So this is my daughter's loft area. We have the guest rooms up here, and we have my daughter's suite up here. And so when I decorated it, actually redecorated it during the pandemic, I wanted to do sort of a Barbie dream home, pre-Barbie movie / Palm Beach. My grandparents had these beautiful, you know, velvet chairs that I thought were so fantastic. And so I did this room all with discount fabrics from oat and carpet remnants, and I love it. I got the art off of First Dibs. I really wanted colorful art that was, you know, a youthful hangout, a fun place for my daughter to be with her friends and also for our guests when they're here. So I mentioned that this tree is usually in the loggia, but I moved it up here because every year I do a themed tree. When my stepdaughter was engaged to her now Australian husband, I did a wedding tree with Australian flags and American flags and church bells. And then when they had a baby, I did a candy baby girl tree, which was such fun. So I always try and do something. And this year we're doing the baby photo tree. So this is my husband as a baby. He's always had, you know, just really on point hair. This is me as a baby, and it's a work in progress. His former wife hasn't sent me a baby photo yet, so I just put her beauty pageant photo up there for now. Hi, Di. And then we're still finishing, but we've got a bunch of baby photos around here. And I dug out my baby blanket to put under it. I thought that that would be fun. It feels like a Brillo pad. You know, it's one of the indignities of the 80s. We had baby blankets that were steel wool and flammable pajamas and rusty lunch boxes. I mean, we're a hardy generation, Gen X. And here, our ode to the 3 generations and Framebridge. We have one of my mother's modeling photos, a photo I did when I was modeling robes for charity, and the photo on the back of my daughter's novel. She wrote a novel when she was 20 years old called Off the Record. It's on Amazon. And then Christmas night, we have a small gathering with our family and close friends. You're not going to see anybody in the house who's here because, like, I had to invite them. It's only people we really love. And it's just such a way to end the Christmas holiday, you know, as we're moving into the new year, to just be around the people that give us sort of the warmth and the love, and in my case, the strength to beat cancer. So I love Christmas night. My kids get so into it. They work on the guest list, they work on the decorations. We make my famous cheese grits recipe, which is so good. I'll post it on my Instagram. It's to die for. We do Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Easter. And, you know, I feel so blessed that I'm able to bring my family together in a way that I didn't have when I was little.
Thanks for watching. Go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content and shopping guides.